Hi, Mark. We are not starting until 12 noon or 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern.
Really? Okay.
Uh, yeah,
Well, then I can show up again in a half hour.
yeah, thank you. Lisa Levy is going to be leading the call because I'm at a fundraising event.
Okay. Just by the way, she pronounces it Levy.
I asked her about that. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Mark.
See you in a while. Good luck.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Hi, Jim. We are starting actually at the top of the hour.
Oh, I have 9:30. Okay.
Yes, 1 p.m. Eastern. We're starting at the top of the hour.
Okay.
And great. Thank you.
All righty. Goodbye.
Bye bye. Hey there.
Hello, you look gorgeous. Such a
Oh,
sparkly gem.
sparkly. Sparkly. Yeah. Hi, ladies. Look at you. Oh my gosh. So exciting.
Clean up well.
Woohoo. Yeah.
Only when I have to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Kathleen, where are you right now? Are you like at a banquet hall or something? It looks like that's where you are.
Yeah. A country club. A country club where, let me see here. Yeah. I usually don't do this over Wi-Fi. I'm usually over my cellular. So yeah, we're at a country club having our big banquet, and literally in about 20 minutes, I'm doing the welcome and the introduction and kicking the whole thing off.
Outstanding.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think that we originally talked about this being a mixer at 12:30. So we've had a couple of people come in already, and I said, hey, we're officially starting at the top of the hour. So they're going to rejoin.
Okay.
So just an FYI, people may come in and do, just come in early for a little mixing.
It's all good. We're here.
Great. Kathleen, can you can you change hosts?
I am doing it right now, and I am so excited to do this, ladies. I cannot tell you.
I left you a Voxer today, Kathleen.
Oh,
Because it's fun.
oh,
is
thank
fun.
you. Oh, thank you. You know what, Christina? I was like getting ready, and I will listen to it in just a moment. Okay.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I love it.
I'm so delighted. I'm leading a Zoom call. Well, my group, but I have 3 amazing women who are taking over the reins to lead this.
Oh,
So
awesome.
we don't have to
Are you on a Zoom call right now?
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
Yeah, no,
Oh.
it's perfect. It doesn't start for a few minutes.
Well,
but,
she looks better in person. Lady.
oh, come on, my nice friend. My gosh, another one of my nice friends. Okay, so let me make you. So
I
Christina,
think we're good. Christina, you should be co-host.
I see myself as co-host.
woohoo! Oh, and Anna Lee is here. Welcome, Anna Lee. Beautiful.
I
Annalie
love
just went,
seeing
"You
I love
ladies are
seeing you
crazy."
look so popular, Kathleen. That was like a Kathleen's popular moment. It was really adorable.
Thank you. Well, I'll
Surprise.
Yeah, because last year I won. I was one of the honorees, winning the GEM Award, and I couldn't fit into this dress last year. And so I said, next year I'm wearing this sucker. So yeah, yay, yep. Okay, I love you. I'll have my text on, and ladies, rock it. You are just going to kick butt. It's going to be fabulous. And let's see. I don't even know what to say. Okay, I love you.
Love you too.
Hey, thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Dor, you look so lovely. I love that color for you.
Thank you. Sheila Anderson, right, said, Lisa, you got to get out of the black. And let me tell you, while I was getting dressed, my traditional black shirt, and I was looking at it and I'm like, okay, I got my little pop of pink. And
Okay.
right. Sheila and I have had a quality conversation along the way. Yes. You
Yeah.
knew there were more colors than black and white.
I know that Sheila wants to get her hands on me. I'm sure. I'm sure on huddle calls, she's been like, my God, Christina, with your black t-shirts.
Well, you know, the thing that is so lovely about her is she, kind of meets us where we're at. And in one of these events at the very beginning of the year, I think it was the first one, it was like kicking it up was the thing. And we're supposed to bring shoes.
Okay.
And supposedly the shoes we were wearing, but come on, right? We're all at home in our socks and our slippers. And I was standing in my closet and I'm looking, I'm going, oh, okay. And I have a pair of cherry red Converse high tops, wedges, and they have these big white heels. And I was like, I'm gonna make Sheila squirm.
Yeah.
And I, everybody was going through and people were showing their slippers and, the reality of where we're at. And I said, Sheila, take a deep breath. And I held up the shoe and she just started laughing. She goes, oh my God, that is so perfect for you. Like, yeah, they're really cute. They're impossible to actually wear, right?
Yeah.
An Amazon order that went wrong, but they're sitting in my closet and I was like, oh yeah. Yes. So,
I take pride in my silver Adidas.
Absolutely.
I don't know. My style is like Russell Simmons meets Ellen DeGeneres meets Sophia Loren. Like
Right, but you have that elegance that flows through all of it. It's got to be there.
A little bit. It's the Italian in me. What can I say?
So is that big smile. I love that smile. while we're sort of
Talk to
in
me.
this, while Annalee is ignoring us in our banter, poor thing, let me pull up the slide. Let me just share screen and make sure we're all good. Seeing it?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you scroll through it?
Well, sure.
Sometimes people, when they try to scroll through their presentation, it doesn't actually advance on the screen. So, yep, advancing.
All right. And I think that Kathleen has it auto recording. I saw that.
Yeah.
When we're all here and we're at the top of the hour, I'll set a backup record going also.
Okay.
I'm so excited. This is going to be so much fun. And I'm like turning off all the noisemakers in my
Yeah.
office.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Email is closed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my technology has been fighting with me. I'm so angry with it. My camera is on top of my monitor. And when I try and change some of my angles, I can do it by, the software, right? The camera can pan side to side. But I really sort of need to turn my monitor to get the shot I really want, because see how I've lost my right hand. It just vanishes into the, but if I turn my monitor, it then starts tilting. I'm so frustrated.
What starts to, the camera starts
The
to?
whole monitor starts to,
Starts
so the
to-
monitor starts to do this.
Yeah.
And so then so I can't, I need an Allen wrench and 10 minutes of time. And I forgot to do that before.
There you go.
Today. Know what to do, know how to do it, just haven't done it. So I have to talk with
Ellie,
my left
Hi.
hand.
how are you today?
Good. I was just at a meeting until 9:30 my time, and I had to go to the bathroom, so I had to leave you for a little moment. In
You
between,
are-
if, it's often tough to handle those kind of things.
Yeah. As a
You
matter
are
of fact, I
perfectly
probably should
A-okay.
handle that myself. So, Emily, that's a lovely reminder. I shall be back.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So how are you doing, Lisa?
I am wonderful. How are you? What kind of event were you at before?
Brexit in Ireland. It was a very high-level networking event, and it was very interesting, and I enjoyed it. Really, quite bright people there, so it was good.
I'm glad.
I
That
don't know
sounds
if
fun.
if I will join, because I'm just running out of time. I'm doing all my work with the academy and all with my students and all the translations, and continually develop more curriculum and do 1,000 other things. And so I don't know if I can take on any more. I'm already trying to limit now my participation with C-suite, because it's just too many hours.
Well, if somebody were to truly do everything,
Mm-hmm.
it's a full-time commitment.
Oh, it's more than
It-
full time. I feel I'm working more hours now than I ever did before.
Incredibly valuable, right? Lots of great conversation, lots of great subject matter expertise, all of it's,
Yeah.
but to take it all in, I've had a handful of conversations with people. It's like, you're right, I'm doing this for my business, but it takes me away from my business, and it's finding
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's
That
really
is
fine.
kind of-
It's often very nice conversations, but they're not that directly valuable for my business. So and I need to, and I am making now many more decisions about where I spend my time. Because it's
Absolutely.
just too much, and I cannot afford to have that much pleasant entertainment where when I need to do some work.
Yes. So yesterday, during the digital discussion, Evan Dash was talking, and I had my camera off. I wanted to hear it, but I was multitasking.
Same here.
And even though this is being recorded and this will be used against me later, so I had my camera on. I was multitasking because I was doing my nails. And I'm sitting and I'm doing a whole thing, and Trisha says, "Lisa, I see that you're out there," and I'm like, I don't know how to click the button without making a mess of what I'm doing here. But right, the camera at least is here, so my hands and my mess was down below the camera. Like, hi,
Yeah.
I have no hair, no makeup, no, it's just hiding. But yeah, here I am.
Well, that's what we have to do. Sometimes become invisible and handle some things, that are just not kosher to share online.
And it was a very strange moment for me to be doing that at all. But this is the world we live in now. So,
Hi, Deb.
Hi, Deb.
You're still muted. Yeah,
Hello,
you go.
there we are.
Hi.
Yeah.
Deb, thanks for liking all the posts and everything on LinkedIn.
Just going through
Appreciate
clicking,
that.
clicking. So,
and we were prolific building this one up.
oh yeah.
We were all over it.
Deb, can I ask you? We've never really interacted before.
Yeah,
Is your last name Crier or Creer?
It's
How do you
Creer.
pronounce Creer?
Yeah, most people say crier, so I respond to that too. But yeah, it is career.
Okay,
It's very nice to meet you.
nice to meet you too. Thank you for coming.
Always fun.
What
And
is
we
that?
are-
What is the thing? What is that in your background, Deb?
This way,
Nope, the other way.
this way.
Yeah.
So it's a very.
Oh, is that your microphone?
Oh
You're
yeah, this is
seeing
my
her
mic.
microphone.
Oh, that is so funny because the angle where it was at looked like it was a thing that was on your
An
shelf.
alien that's about ready.
Right.
to
It was a
get
little
out.
I'm like,
drone
is
like.
that- I'm like, must be one of those newfangled like water cooler things.
I
Like I'm
thought.
trying to figure out what the heck
Yeah.
that is.
It's my blue Yeti. So
Amazing. Okay. What's Power Hour, Deb?
I have my own podcast. It is on C-Suite Network, and it's the Business Power Hour. Lisa has been a guest, and it's a great. We have a great time. It is an hour long, and we always have lots of fun guests. This was, let's see, here was my guest today, Ron Carr, who is a member of C-Suite. And it's just, I've been doing it a long time. We will hit episode 700 in September. So, we're getting there.
Deb is amazing as a host.
I like to
Christina,
talk.
I know you've got your podcast too, but Deb has been doing this for a long time, and she is such a gracious and inviting. It's like sitting and having a cup of coffee with your best friend.
That's the goal, is that we're
That's
just
nice.
chatting and having a comfortable discussion. So thank you very much for that. So
I love your picture in the background, that flower. Beautiful.
Twice I had this. I had the same woman on twice as on the podcast, and she's a Zoom consultant. And it's funny because she's normally an image consultant who had to pivot, and so she was doing Zoom consulting. And so in the middle of the podcast, she's telling me how to do stuff differently, which that was fine. That was great fun. And the what I had there before was busy. I mean, it wasn't anything that was unprofessional or anything like that. It was just busy. And so she had me do artwork that matched the blue in the somewhere it was supposed to match my hair, but of course we've changed hair colors since then. But it's also supposed to match the plant, and the plant was very important. So it took me a while to find a big picture that would match that. But yeah, it was just very interesting. And I'm breaking the cardinal rule that she had. I'm supposed to always wear blue also. But this was what I had on today, and I wasn't going to change. But yeah, it was, it's this whole color theme thing. And she was very good. It was very interesting, but yeah, so my Zoom consultant is responsible for this.
Oh, good.
Wonderful. Welcome, Trisha.
Hello, darling.
Hello.
How is everybody?
Good.
Sorry.
Good. We're just here kind of getting going. Lisa just stepped away for a quick second. How are you?
Awesome. Good. I didn't think I could possibly get busier than I was before COVID. Then COVID happened and I thought I couldn't possibly get busier than what it's been the last year and 2 months. And then the last 2 weeks happened and I'm like, wow. So it's been incredible and very, very full. And there's so much exciting happening. So I'm thrilled to be here with all of you now.
Well, tell us a little bit about all the exciting things that are happening.
We have more new partnerships. I'm in the middle of acquiring a full podcast network. We've got Freedom Fest coming up. So it's going to be 3,000 people on site. We're going to have a massive C-suite presence and opportunity for C-suite leaders. So, anybody who can make it there, that's going to be exciting. My team, our team is just incredible. That's been coming along really beautifully, in terms of our culture and our alignment and what we're delivering on. So yeah, just a whole bunch of completely disparate things, but really great things. And it looks like, this is just a near and dear to my heart kind of a scenario. The Veterans Council, we had a leader who just couldn't deliver on it, had a lot of trouble with what happened with COVID, et cetera. And I have somebody now, and then a whole group of other veterans that are really excited about leading a very successful Veterans Council of C-suite. So I'm really grateful for that, because this community genuinely cares and supports so many veteran things, right? So many veteran activities. And a lot of it, from what I understand with an empathetic eye, because I do not know what it is to serve my country the way that they have. And I fully appreciate that. But so much of what we do is well-intentioned and very much off the mark, and a lot of times patronizing and virtue signaling and all kinds of things like that. So I'm so ecstatic about the prospects of creating a really meaningful veteran council for veteran business leaders to succeed and support each other, and also educate the rest of us on what is appropriate language, what are efforts that make it meaningful and impactful, and help us to redirect our attention and our monies in whatever capacities we all have appropriately. So,
Wow.
Wonderful.
yeah.
So what happened, or what has been, or is going to happen with the Social Impact Council? I mean, I talked with Pete like months ago, and I haven't seen or heard anything since. He's difficult to reach, so I'm asking you.
We brought Pete on team, which pretty much killed him.
Oh, God.
So if you want to drink from a fire hose, come into the C-suite internal team, because we will drown you immediately. So it's still absolutely there. It's just that so many other things have taken precedence as priorities, because he is part of our internal team now. So
wow, I
yeah.
didn't know that.
Yes. So Pete's very much engaged in our professional services and supporting our build in that space. So, which is a whole, it's aches and pains and scaling quickly and all kinds of things happening there. So much of it below the surface, some of it above the surface, and so much more to come. I see us having sort of a matrix of agencies and business units that serve everything for executive, business owner, investor, and influencer audiences. So, that scaling there, it's a tremendous web, and laying the groundwork is, I find it exhilarating. It's exciting, but it also absolutely has its challenges. So, and it's like having a newborn. It's not like you can leave them in the corner and hope they don't eat anything or stick their fingers in the electrical plugs. Like that's That's the best analogy I can use, you know.
It's a very good one as a mother.
Yeah. It's like, it doesn't work that way. So maybe a toddler is an even better example.
Yeah,
I'm
they
so
were getting some
excited.
more-
My friend Robin is here. Hi, Robin. You don't have to go on camera if you don't want to, but it's nice to see you. Maybe she's not, we're still working it out.
Unmute.
There we go.
Oh,
Hi
you
there, nice to see
are.
you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for
How is everything?
being.
Thank you for the invitation. I appreciate
Sure.
it.
No problem. We're just kind of hanging out, waiting for people to show up and, you know. So, so we all sort of know each other, but Robin, do you want to just introduce yourself? I know I'm putting you on the spot. I don't mean to, but if you
Oh, no,
feel
that's
like you
okay.
want to, go ahead.
Sure, no problem. So I'm Robin Austin. I live in Tucson, Arizona. So it's almost 100 degrees today, but I'm ready for it. And so my job is I work for Tucson Federal Credit Union and I do community relations. So basically I handle anything that relates to our community impact, such as philanthropy or financial education. And I work a lot with nonprofits and with the community college here. So I love doing that. And then my side hustle is that I do freelance work. So I just finished helping an up-and-coming media company get some of their documents prepared for onboarding and some of their websites. So I stay pretty busy.
You are so busy, lady. I know that we haven't had a chance to catch up, but I know that you are so out there doing really great work. And I'm just I'm so happy that you're here because, you know, what we're going to talk about today, I think is going to fire you up even more, even though you're already fired up. You're so fired up, but, you know, so happy that you're here, Robin.
Well, thank you. I'm looking forward to it. It worked out perfectly for the day.
Robin, I am in the Phoenix area and
Okay.
spent a good part of my earlier career working at what was then Desert Schools Financial Credit Union, and is now Desert Financial. So welcome, neighbor. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome again. Good to see you. So you're still in Phoenix now?
I am in the Chandler area, and I have a consulting firm. We work with businesses to align their people, their processes, and technology so that they can get the right work done.
Excellent. I was just in your neck of the woods on the Memorial Day weekend. I have family that lives in Fountain Hills. So
okay,
kind of in the county, let's say that way, a little bit of,
yeah,
but yeah, in the same area.
definitely.
Deb, where are you?
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
And
So-
Susan, where are you again?
Dallas.
Dallas. This is so amazing. And Trisha, you're in South Dakota?
No,
Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, PA.
You're in Pittsburgh? I did not know that. For some reason, I thought you were out in the Midwest. I didn't. You're
Nope.
fairly close to me-ish in New York City. So
New York
It's
was
her
my,
Canadian.
yeah. I am, the Midwest piece would be my Southwestern Ontario upraising, very much an agricultural place. So, and similar latitude. But yeah, and then New York, you mentioned New York, Christina, and that used to be my headquarters, and I was there at least once or twice a month. And now like going through with serious withdrawal. I haven't been there since February.
wow.
Last year, you know, so before COVID.
Come back.
I need to.
Yeah.
Soon.
Okay. Welcome, Andrea and Kathleen and David. There's a man here. We have a few gents joining
We
us.
should have a few gents joining us today.
Yes. Love it.
Well, Wallace was upset that he had a conflict and couldn't join us. So I said, please make sure you record it. Because he, when he started Success North Dallas, he did it with the disruptive attitude of 30% women and has continued to grow that and really always honors the women in the group.
He is wonderful. Mark Boundy is joining us. Hello.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
What's up, pal? Of course, on the phone. You on the phone or are you just pensive? He's on the phone.
He's on the phone. He's on the phone.
I was on the phone, and it's still showing at 59 minutes after the hour. I'm packing in my time.
You're packing it in?
Look at this, man. I am on a call with a dozen gorgeous, successful, smart women. I digs me the smart women.
I told him to say that.
Yeah, he's
I
getting
said to him, you
serious.
better say that when you come here, just saying. Yeah.
No, actually, she didn't. I
lives
did
it.
it completely
I'm
unprompted.
kidding. Mark, you were in a den.
Sweet.
Sweet. All right, more people.
Oh, Jim's here.
Ben.
Jim.
And David. Hello, gents.
Yeah, just like the men to be late.
Greetings, Janice.
Late being on time.
I'm going to turn off the video while I eat.
Wait.
And then I'll turn it back on.
Whatever you need, Janice.
Mark, I was changing the world. Thank you.
I know. And I'm just trying to drag you down to my level.
I was trying to find value in something, I think.
Oh, life in the gutter with
Oh,
Mark
the
Boundy.
value.
Yeah, you hang out with all these smart women and, life improves.
Oh, trust me. I know my wife is very much better than I'll ever be.
Joan Slavka, welcome. And hi, Andrea. I said hello, but I think you were still connecting.
Good to see everyone.
There we go.
I actually was way early. I somehow or another I had this as starting half an hour ago on my calendar. So I got in half an hour ago, and Kathleen kindly got on and said, Mark, we're not starting for a half hour.
I did the same thing.
And Kathleen
Wait.
Kathleen helped you through it too?
And she told me get off as soon as possible. And I do what I'm told. Very simple.
I'm surprised she didn't say you guys have to sit there and wait for Lisa.
Welcome,
Yes,
Pam.
we did have a little disruption in our schedule and our start of this, and I'm so glad you came back to join us even after getting booted out. We appreciate you for that.
So it is 1:02 on my clock. Should we get started?
Let's do
Awesome.
this.
I know we'll probably have more people joining in, and the more the merrier. It's all great, but we are absolutely in for a treat today in the Women's Leadership Council. We're holding the gauntlet. I always say to my team, we pay respect and we support and we do a tremendous service to be able to step in and have things run when one of us has to be away somewhere. So Kathleen Caldwell, our chair of our Women's Leadership Council, this is the first meeting she hasn't been able to be in attendance and leading, but she's leading us all by creating this space and setting up incredible content and incredible conversation for us for today. It is my honor. I'm Trisha Ben, Chief Community Officer of C-Suite Network. I had the absolute pleasure of getting to know Kathleen many years ago when we didn't have a very strong female or women-led grouping within C-Suite. And it was brought to the attention of Jeffrey and his partners at that time. And they came to us and said, we love women. We're really struggling with this. Can you help us? And so those were sort of the early days. And immediately, to his credit, Jeffrey Hazlett, our chairman and founder of C-Suite, set a goal for us. We were to reach at least 50% women and minority-led leaders, businesses, in the C-suite on our main stages and so on. And since then, we always have, and sometimes a little bit more. We have this tremendous group of women leaders and also men who are incredibly supportive and part of the community in great leadership across the board. So always excited about our women's leadership time. Today, I have the honor of not fully introducing Kathleen, but introducing Lisa Levy, who's going to raise our topic and introduce our speakers for today. And we're talking about a topic that's near and dear to my heart, disruption. And being Canadian born, I have frequently have in my bio the nicest disruptor you're ever going to meet. Disruption just to me means opportunity. It's painful, kind of like ripping off a Band-Aid, but it creates tremendous opportunity openings in the market that we otherwise wouldn't see, or openings in terms of what we're trying to achieve, how we're doing things. So Lisa Levy, if you have not spent time with Lisa Levy, she is incredible. Not only as a leader and consultant. I mean, if you need any conversation, any support, any leadership in terms of your operations, how you make projects run through your organization, how you really set up your processes to get to that maximum performance, you absolutely need to speak with Lisa. Here's the other piece of Lisa, though. She is just a tremendous person and leader. So when you want to have that real conversation, not just jargon, but the real conversation and how we connect being great leaders and great people in terms of how we address all the things that go into making us great leaders. I can't think of anyone that exemplifies that more so than Lisa does. So it is absolutely my honor on behalf of C-Suite, the Women's Leadership Council, all of us here, to hand things over to Lisa today to lead us and introduce us to our other phenomenal leaders today that are speaking. And then, of course, all of us here in terms of the conversation that we get into. So Lisa, over to you.
Trisha, you are the best introduction ever. Thank you so much for all of those kind words. And I'm going to quickly bring us back into kind of the day and what we're doing. And Kathleen, right? Kathleen started today's conversation at the beginning of the year. She didn't know she had done it at the time, but that she is the reason that we're all here. And if you are new to the Women's Leadership Council, we have this opportunity once a month where it's open to anybody who's interested. We're going to go through and we'll introduce some of our faculty and new members. We'll go through the facilitation of the day and close it out with some insights, call to action, and announcements. The Women's Leadership Council that Kathleen is building has an esteemed faculty of members from within the C-Suite network. These women are powerful, Trisha being one of them, and always such a gracious host to start us off. Our founding members are powerful leaders in their space. And today I am so honored to share the stage with Susan Younger and Christina DiGiacomo. We want to have so much fun with you all today. And the purpose here is, right, we want to be disruptive. This idea started on International Women's Day, March 8th. Kathleen hosted a small group of all of us and asked us to bring pictures of women who have influenced who we are today. The group was relatively small, but what was really interesting is we all brought up our mom or our grandmother. And it was a really interesting reality, right? And as we were talking through it, I was curious, and I am very curious all the time, and I like to ask lots of questions. That's, I think, why I'm a consultant by trade. But why did we go to our families? Where were those women examples that we could have used as great influences? And as we left that conversation, there was an inkling in my head that there was something about women leaders and this theme of this disruption, those people who make major impact and major change happen. Where are they and why can't we list off their names? So as I'm looking at all of you right now, if in chat, you could put in the name, if I say, who is a disruptor in your business industry, what's the first name that comes to mind? And male, female, doesn't matter. The biggest disruptors that you can think of. All right, look at you guys go with some actual women. Outstanding. When I had that thought the first time, for me, two names came to mind. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. Didn't think much about it. And so one of the other things that I started to look at, and especially as some of these names fly by and I don't recognize all of them, the second criteria I added to it was these names need to be commonly known. Somebody that my mother might know, my grandmother might know, that my kids, my 20-something-year-old kids might know. And that didn't help me. So that's where we started. It was an inkling. It was an idea. The last session was talking about a movement. So we're hoping to get some oomph and understanding about our role as women leaders in disruption and being disruptive. Christina is going to talk to us about that lineage and its impact. I'm going to jump back in with being disruptive. And as we set the stage for our breakout session, Susan is going to really let us focus in on ourselves and how we as individuals respond to disruption. So we have a lot in store for today. And we want to just kind of set the stage with, did you know, last year was horrific, right? We lived through a pandemic, and that is the ultimate form of unexpected and unwanted disruption that there is. McKinsey and Company, in partnership with Lean In, did a survey during the course of after July last year. And looking at the response, the questions were down the center. Have you felt stressed? Have you been exhausted? Are you burnt out, right? The center of the chart were kind of the questions. And then rating on a scale of kind of 1 to 5, where were you and what have you experienced? And was it better than in previous years, or has that been increasing over time? And with just a quick look at the slide, there's a lot of purple. And the more purple that there is, the more impactful the response was. The other thing that was really interesting, and not wanting to dissect it, but looking at the left column from the males who responded, their experience last year was somewhat better than in previous years. No judgment, right? But if we also look at it and we see where the biggest worsening of experience, women with disabilities, a pandemic, extreme disruption, extreme stress had a real impact, and it sliced and hit different people in different ways. So that's sort of what set the tone for wanting to explore this thread of being disruptive and also responding to disruption. And with this, I'd like to invite Christina to join me.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Lisa, for setting that up. And I kind of want to kick off sort of let's taking a look at our lineage of disruption and influence. And you may not know this, but Diotima was a very, very important historical figure. And the reason for that is that she was actually Socrates' teacher. And, when I first found out about her, it was, and her role in his life, it was so shocking to me because I just didn't think that who was behind the father of Western philosophy, a figure that I hold really dear in my work, was a woman. And then I was like, of course I wouldn't know about her because for a lot of the women, the thousands of women across millennia that have been creating change and had influence, a lot of times history just sort of wipes them out and makes them sort of play on the sidelines, or we don't acknowledge them. And this is what Lisa was hinting at. And that's what Lisa's mission is to change our notion and idea of who is really out there as women making a lot of noise. And so I bring Diotima up because she is someone who is very, very important. If you think about Socrates' contribution to our lives and to philosophy and to democracy and all of those things, she was the one who instilled in him the love of wisdom. And so for me, my influencer and my disruptor is her. So knowing that we have this lineage that we may not even know about, so then we have a challenge. And I say this with a little bit of a call to arms. Our challenge is to really truly embrace and claim that we are part of this world. We partake in this world. We participate in this world as women. But we are in a place where there's a tension, where sometimes we may feel sidelined, or we wrestle with this idea that we encounter situations where we might feel a bit expendable, that we've been forsaken through history. And we need to part with this idea. And so what we're going to be talking about today are all the different ways with which we can do that. And there's been this impact in this tension where we start in our minds of this idea that we've been marginalized, because it's a spectrum. So as Lisa was talking about the effects of the pandemic on certain ideas and behaviors and feelings that we have, which really essentially render us with a feeling of maybe invisibility, or that sideline, that feeling of being sidelined. In order for us to get to even baseline disruption, or baseline feeling like we're ready to make a change, either in our own lives with ourselves or, out there in the world, we have to make up some ground just to get to that baseline. And that is historically, socioeconomically, personally, spiritually, all of that, so that we can get to a place of what I call just general badassery. But there's something that's really important here, because there's an idea that I want us to get to. And that is what happens when we recover that ground from going from that feeling of feeling left behind, feeling invisible, feeling marginalized, to that disruptive mindset. What if we make up this ground by disrupting our own thinking about our feelings of our own marginalization? Because there's something beyond general badassery, which is a whole world, which can be ours. And so there's something beyond just doing great work. There's something beyond just living a great life, which is something more expansive that we can also claim once we really get our heads around this notion of let's let go of the ideas that we have, that we are invisible, and that we have a greater part to play in the greater good, and snap into a disruptive mindset right from the start. And so I selected a quote from Marge Piercy, who is an amazing, amazing thinker. And just to plant the seed in our minds that a strong woman is a woman determined to do something others are determined not be done. So again, let's think about the spaces where we don't think we belong, but we do belong, and what we can do when we get there and how to get there. And we're going to be talking more about that today. Thank you, Lisa.
Outstanding, Christina. Before we move on, I want to open it up and ask the audience, and is there something, did Christina prime a thought for you? Is there a question that you might have for her on the lineage, on this journey from being marginalized to badassery and to everything else that we have out there that we can own for ourselves? Mr. Boundy, you're raising your hand.
Yeah, I've been reading this book about the difference between success and significance. And significance is having a change without necessarily seeking fame and fortune for it. I could call Kim Kardashian or Paris Hilton disruptors because they changed a lot about society. And my personal opinion is that they have been very disruptive without a doubt, but have they been significant? And maybe it's just because I don't have ovaries, but I think that there's two dimensions. You can't be disruptive without being somewhat known or publicly disruptive. And so I guess it's questions and I'm trying to sort it out rather than ideas or an opinion or a point of view.
Well, actually, it's a really nice segue that if there aren't any other kind of questions for Christina, our philosopher in residence with the C-Suite Network, I will use Mark as a transition into where we're headed. But anyone else want to jump in and talk about the lineage and our legacy of disruption? All right, so back to chat. When I say the word disruption, what's the first thing that comes to mind? What does disruption mean to you? Write it in the chat and let's see what kind of impact that word has on each of us. And it might be a little bit different. All right, so we've got some opportunity. We've got innovator, making waves, shake it up, thought leader, rudeness. That's right. So we have positive and negative connotations to what that word might mean. The Webster's dictionary version of the definition is really something from one state of being to another. I like troublemaker. That's a great one. And so when I was looking at that and Webster's definition, let me just oversimplify it, right? Disruption equals change. It's neither positive nor negative. It's just going from one state to another. In the last several months, as I've been playing with this theme of disruption, I realized that there are kind of two ways that it manifests. There's external disruption, right? The pandemics, the market changes, the blockage of the Suez Canal. Those are external disruptions that we really have no control over. They happen and we're stuck with the outcomes of it. We also have the ability, and there's internal disruption. And that's kind of that more interesting theme where we're talking about, maybe it is a troublemaker. Maybe it is the student at the back of a classroom that really didn't do the homework. And so they're doing everything to keep the teacher from collecting the homework. And that's not necessarily positive disruption. And so Mark was on a theme, and I love that he's like reading ahead my brain. He does this to me quite frequently. But a really good definition of being disruptive is challenging the status quo to make a positive impact. So if we want to own this and we want to change the world, this comes from Charlene Lee and her book, The Disruption Mindset. But this is a choice that we make on purpose with an intent to have a positive impact. And that sort of made it whole for me that, yeah, we can be disruptive and we can be the naughty kid at the back of the room and distract from things, a Kardashian and that level of disruption. But in this mindset and the tone that we want to set for it is that it is a choice. It's done on purpose for that positive impact. With the work that Charlene did, and I'm leveraging it because she had the opportunity to interview thousands of people in the course of a couple of years, and I'm pulling this together to seed our thinking in days and weeks. There's a place for everybody. We are not all the kindest disruptors in the world, like a Trisha Ben, who naturally always is at the front leading change. but we all do respond to it. And the point of the person who is the most skeptical naysayer of a potential change adds value to the disruption journey, because it's questioning and making us reassess and reassert the commitment that we're challenging for a reason and we're leading for a positive impact. And that's the mindset that I think is so important for all of us, and especially this group within the Women's Leadership Council, within the C-Suite network, that we build and grow off of each other. And I, until recently, would never have described myself as an active disruptor. I would have described myself as a supporter of those who are leading change. In the last year, I've learned to think of myself a little bit differently. And I brought it to my work, and I'm bringing it to this group in that thought of, there are things that happen that we can't control, we have to respond to, got it. But the things that we can control are how we show up, how we support our clients, our family, our friends. And in that mindset, I want to lead and hopefully fall into this percentage of leaders at that 27%, where I am a realistic optimist and I am moving things forward with purpose. For those of you who know me, you know that part of what I think and teach and share with my clients is this desire to treat everything as an experiment. We may try something and we may expect a certain set of results and we may not get it. In the past, we might have called that failing, but the word failure has such the wrong connotation in our business society and our very American society that I want to kind of move past that. And with that, we have the idea that Nancy Lieberman, right? There's no substitute for hard work. If you work hard and prepare yourself, you might get beat, but you'll never lose. So in this journey, we're going to try things, and some of them are going to work and some of them aren't. But we're going to learn, and we're going to make informed decisions on how we move forward. In this conversation, I would really like to introduce Susan Younger to the stage with me and have the opportunity to start turning our thought of disruption onto us as individuals and what that means to us personally.
And it helps if I unmute. So one of the things that's really important when we think of disruption, and as Lisa was talking about the external forces that are beyond our control, it's understanding how do we receive them and how does that change how we make a decision, how we move forward, where does it make us pull back, where does it push us into action? And so what we're going to use as a tool today to talk about that is your bank code. And there are many in this group today that have already cracked.
Susan, you're muted. Somehow
Somehow we managed to mute ourselves again. So many in this group have already cracked their codes, but there are several who have not had that opportunity. When you go to this link, and I put it in the chat because that makes it easier than trying to capture it off the screen. It'll pull up a web page and it'll say crack your code. You hit that button and all of a sudden you will see 4 cards show up in front of you. And each of these 4 cards only have 12 words on them. And if you arrange those cards in what's most important to you in terms of values to least important to you in position 4, it will send you a report to your email address you submit that profiles your personality for making a buy-in decision. So we call it the bank code because when you crack the code, you can take it to the bank. Now you might be taking it to the bank of how do I shorten a sales cycle, but it really is also about how do I engage in a conversation. And when you understand that about yourself, you start to see how you look at things differently than maybe the same person who has a similar code. You see behind my name, the letters NAKB. So the N stands for nurturing, A stands for action, K stands for knowledge, B stands for blueprint. And you're wondering, where the heck did this come from? Sherry Tree, who is one of our Hero Club members, is the founder of this. And she started out 20 years ago, not as a rocket amazing salesperson or anything like that. She was somebody who was really interested in having success in life, but she wasn't having success in sales. So although she'd been introduced to all these other personality profiles, she realized there wasn't a single profile that helped her to identify who they were. And as you crack your code, we would love for you to put your code in the chat, because what we're going to do when we break into groups is use that information, and we'll use the fact that you've got them there. If anybody, yeah, I love seeing this. We really can look at it and see, like Slavka just put hers in, and she and I match in terms of code, but we still are not alike. There is a spectrum in this code that you start to understand. So Sherry was trying to improve her sales, and since she couldn't figure it out from any of the other personality profiles, she's very much that disruptor who says, you know what, I guess I'm going to have to figure this out on my own. So she went ahead and cracked her code and started saying, okay, this is how I make a decision. I wonder how the people around me make decisions. And instead of her putting somebody else in charge of doing this, she asked the people to self-identify what values were important to them. So this was reverse engineered. It is not psychology. It's what we call biology, B-U-Y, why they buy. And although I'm kind of blocking it here, you can see there's a book behind me that represents what Sherry wrote in 2017 about her journey in creating this. And it's been an amazing tool for me, because when I was introduced to it 6 years ago and she's talking about it as a sales tool, my immediate thought is, no, this is about the relationship on every level and how I see somebody else, honor their values, and engage them in what I want them to do. My background in architecture, building department stores, I was sitting in Mesa, Arizona at that time, and I had stores being built in Denver. I had teams in Albuquerque and Tucson and the Phoenix area, all doing different things within the business. And people are like, how come you don't have any trouble talking to the construction guys in the field, the visual guys putting the mannequin dresses on, the merchandising people, the finance people? And I couldn't explain to them how I did it. But once I was introduced to bank, it was like, oh man, somebody's like unlocked the keys of my brain and put something together that is so simple. And simple's always been a word that's important to me. You know, we don't want to complicate things. We want to make it simple. And in 2016, San Francisco State University did a white paper that verified that bank code was not taking other personality profiles and twisting them to interpret something, but it truly was unique and disruptive to the sales process. So in 2017, Sherry wrote her book, and that now has become really well known across the world. And what she started as a training thing, because she wanted to help her team start to understand how to work with themselves, has now evolved into a technical company that supports all of this with an artificial intelligence that we can, in a one button code crack on LinkedIn, see the code of somebody's profile on their web page there. We can take text and drop it into the AI, see how a letter is written. And what you start to discover is, even with a primary code showing NAKB, I may write a letter in a different code because it represents the questions. So as you start to crack your code and you're thinking about how you coordinate with somebody else, what you'll find out from your profile is that the first two codes represent those positions in how you make a decision most of the time. But the third code is what we call the stress code. The stress code is what steps forward when you're under stress, when you question what you would typically do in any way. so when you stop to think about what's happened, especially in 2020 with this pandemic, how many people do you interface with that all of a sudden you're going, wow, they're looking at that from a whole different perspective than what I'm used to thinking about. And when you look at the people in this group, you will see that we have all 4 codes probably showing up in that third position. So what we would like to have you do is break into a group based on the third code. And we have given you an opportunity in that group to talk about where you see the things that you would do similar, because that is your third code, your stress code. And where, because your primary codes are different, are those making different decisions than maybe somebody who has a different primary code would do. And the thing I'll say about the fourth code is when I first started working with this, we talked about the importance of knowing primary because that's the important values for a person. And the fourth code was important to know because that was the least important to a person. So those were what you tried to avoid making the primary part of your presentation. What you really want to be able to do is learn to work with all 4 of them. And I'm really excited to see what each group will come out of this with. So we're creating breakout rooms so that there will be a knowledge, nurturing, action, and blueprint in the groups. And then we put a 5th one out there just in case there's somebody who hasn't cracked the code. I'll take and help that group kind of figure some things out on their own. Do you want to put up do we have the breakout rooms so that they can choose what to go in?
Hey, Susan. Yep. All the breakout rooms are ready. So I was just waiting for you to give the signal to open all the rooms.
Go ahead and open the rooms. And Janice, we'll talk about that question you just put where you said it feels like my 4th is more of a stressor than my 3rd. You know, what I'm guessing is those 2 are very close for you, and you may be flipping them from time to time because it may be that what irritates you all of a sudden becomes a stressor.
Okay, so everyone, just letting you know, we have 20 minutes for the breakout rooms. There will be a 2-minute notice that we're going to come back.
And please take a moment at the beginning and introduce yourselves to the group.
Lisa, are we supposed to go into our third code?
That's correct,
Third
Jim.
code.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. I was getting confused.
Third code, please.
I lost the link that said pick a breakout room.
Okay, I can assign you, Joan. What's your third letter?
K.
Okay. There you go. Lisa, I'm just holding out here, making sure everybody finds a room.
David, you might want to jump into the general session and have a conversation because I think that we've got Susan in there.
I'm trying to figure out how to get in K and I can't figure it out.
I can do that for you, Kelly. Don't worry.
Sarah, are you good?
I have to join Pam, Lisa, because she's alone in the A's.
Oh, how interesting is that? Yes.
Okay.
Do you want to take Sarah with you? I don't know if she's listening. I don't know what her code is, but
I'm just going to put her in general.
Okay. All right.
Did you want to pause the recording, Lisa?
Yeah. Let me stop share and
and that was my ears perked up. You know, my stepdaughter is Elsa, and she has her hair dyed just like Elsa's, and she's like 5'10", and she looks like Elsa. I'm not sure what my 15-year-old chose, and my 10-year-old chose the princess from the princess in the one with the Mardi Gras. Princess
What was her name? I should know my Disney princesses.
There we go.
Way outside of my field of knowledge. All right, it looks like we're all coming back. Susan, you're muted if you were trying to jump in.
Yeah, it looks like we pretty much have everybody back. I know that Christina mentioned that she was the only one with A as her action stress code. And Trish, I think what I recall was that was your stress code as well, but you may not have been in a breakout room today.
I was struggling to find mine, Susan, and then I got wrapped up in another whole conversation.
That sounds stressful.
What happens in life?
I was so lonely. That's okay, Trisha.
Christina, you are just that unique. You are one of a kind, one in a million.
So
or one in a dozen, as the case may be.
Yeah. I want to recognize the fact that Christina recognized as an action, she needed to bounce to all 4 rooms and find out what was going there. So from that stress code of action, she wasn't about to sit still. She may lead with knowledge and bring forth all this wisdom to us collectively. But in a moment of stress, she's not going to sit there and just ponder. She's like, I got to move. I got to get out there and really share with the world and find out what's going on, because that's the only way I can continue to feed my knowledge and nurturing that are her first and second codes. You know, she didn't care about what the system was of how we were supposed to do this. It was like, I got to move. So I love that about her action. And that's part of what makes her such a joy to be with.
I'm breaking the system.
So
okay, Susan, I'll let you do your thing.
So who was in the, we're going to go next to who was in the blueprint room? Did anybody take notes there that they can share with us?
Or just share from that group, just the dialogue, any of your takeaways or your ahas.
The B room?
Yep. B, blueprint.
Go, Jim, go.
I think a couple of us had lived the world of corporate America, and the blue was about structure, about processes, about deadlines, about all those things that used to drive us crazy from a stress standpoint and craziness standpoint. If anybody's been in corporate America, when that Sunday night pit in your stomach, feeling like, oh my God, Monday morning's going to start. I can't, stick a fork in my eye. This is horrible. This is corporate America. But we also said we can do what we do today because the lessons, what we learned, the valuable insights we gained from corporate enable us to go out and be entrepreneurs now, our own consultants. But yeah. Definitely, I'm a guy that took off a year because of stress issues in corporate America. And I will never let myself do that again. I work for myself now, work harder than I've ever worked, and I'm loving every single minute of it.
And Jim, what's your primary code?
A.
Does that surprise us? No, he's in action. And that having to meet that structure and system felt like it was holding him back. So a lot of times there's an attraction and a rejection between blueprint and action. You know, the action person will look at the blueprint and go, wow, aren't you cool? You know, you get everything done. I'm over here going bing, 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 moving around, not in a straight line from that action side. So sometimes we can look at that blueprint and go, I love the fact that you're bringing that structure together so I don't have to. You know, they can make those great business partners when they can respect each other, when they can understand that blueprint needs to be done and they're not telling you it's wrong because you didn't do it their way. I had a boss who was definitely blueprint. We called her the parliamentarian of store planning because everything had to be done in a certain order, and it had to be done based on what she was comfortable with. And if that meant we were going to throw away computer systems to do a paper PO because that's where she was comfortable, we were like, what the F? But it was her blueprint. This is what she was used to. They do not like change. And so that stress in blueprint is about the change and the loss of security. And those sorts of things, when they show up in an action, are like, kind of leave your head spinning. So love that. Thanks, Jim, for sharing those aspects.
Well, thank
Anybody
you.
else from that room got anything they want to
Hey,
share?
Susan, real quick, thank you. I think I need to be a member of the Women's Council. This was great information. Thank you. Man.
Love it. Love it.
Well, there is
I
a
told
men in there,
you.
women. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but
I just-
men aren't like women.
And we're grateful that they aren't. We love them for who they are.
Yeah.
Kathleen.
I'll just add something that Janice brought to the table for us, and that was also in that corporate world and the same experience Jim was talking about, deciding, do you build on your strengths or do you try to fix your weaknesses? And is there and the combination of both? And so that came up as a good topic. We didn't get far on it because of the timing, but yeah, I think it's definitely a piece that we have to look at.
And here's what I'll tell you from it. It's not so much that you have to change to become more of it, but you have to understand what of it you have and bring it forth in the best way. For me, blueprint is my last. It doesn't mean I can't work with it. It just doesn't excite me. But I still know from all my work experience in a corporate world, I had to meet a budget. I had to meet a timeline. I had to know how to work with the systems, the structures, and all those pieces. But that wasn't what excited me about doing it. And when you're talking about a team, it's important to understand the difference between what motivates them to engage with you, right, and what turns them off or irritates them because that's your only focus. So you can all think of a boss or teammate you've had who ends up talking blah, blah, blah about whatever is important to them. And you're looking at them like you don't have a clue because you don't understand me. But when you find out that you know that that person has these values and you can address the world in those values for just the time it takes to get that conversation on track, all of a sudden they're pulled into the conversation and engaged. They feel seen, heard, and recognized. And when you think of the 4 values that we talk about and the respect that Tricia has brought forth into that 4th position with C-suite, it's powerful because you're recognizing where they're stressed and how that's different from how they show up normally. Nurturing, who was in the nurturing group? Yeah, Trish.
Susan, it's funny that I love business. My degrees are in sociology and anthropology. And so, I mean, I've been doing these kinds of tests as everyone has forever and using them very cautiously. Because I think that question about what our weaknesses are is one where they've been used so badly over time. You know, this type is good. And typically that's the boss, you know, whatever one the boss is, that's the best one. That's the leader one. That's the great one. That's the one everybody should be aspiring to or faking their results to look like. And that to me is just really poor use of various studies that we use like this. But one thing I love about the bank code is, to me, it doesn't say one is better than the other. It just accepts and respects that the person is what they are. And this is the way that they like to have information communicated to them, or the angle that they want to look through, or the lens they want to look through to see and make decisions. So I really love that about the bank code, that it doesn't have that judgment associated with it.
No, I mean, we really are about how do you engage humanity in a way that they feel seen and honored. You know, you really are looking for that integration of all 4 of them in whatever way you can to bring the best of you forth and see the best in the people that you're working with and engage with. And then also the same in engaging with the people that you want to do business with or want in your life. I mean, when you think about your family, and especially over a year where so many people were all of a sudden not just living in a house, but working in a house, and the kids are in school in the same room, and all this stuff is going on, and everybody's dress code is showing up, and you're like, I don't normally see you that way. Why is this so different? Something like this becomes that simple piece that helps to unlock those fundamental pieces that seem to be falling apart. But when you can all of a sudden identify and create that self-awareness so that you can move forward into using the empathy and emotional intelligence. What I loved about what happened for Bank in 2020 was we created a coaching program where we not just looked at the 4 personalities, but now looked at them through personality, sales, emotional intelligence as a trifecta, then added the artificial intelligence, business intelligence, and spiritual intelligence to really have that full, well-rounded ability to assess what was affecting me in the moment and how is that changing my life and business. And you
that
start
might be a
to
really
just do
good
that.
place
Yeah.
to open up to our nurture group and how they respond in that third position.
Who's coming from the nurturing? Who had nurturing third? When I looked at the groups, there were only 2 people in it, and I didn't really see who it was. Is anybody?
Annalie?
Annalie and Raya.
Yes.
So Raya, do you want to talk about our conversation?
So I joined the conversation a little bit late today. Annalie, if you could start us off, that would be great, actually.
Anyway, we identified that when we are under stress, we both like to be nurtured in order to get through it. And I shared a personal way in how I do that. And we had some good laughs. And then after that, we just really shared more about our philosophies about life and work and got to know each other. So anyway, that was basically it. So I think Raya's takeaway was probably related to the story I told her. Would you like to share that, or is it too personal? I don't know.
No, I loved it. It's exactly that. I mean, when under stress, I think, you know, at work, it's a little bit different than at home, but when at work, you tend to rely on your closest allies to kind of vent to, and you know, for them to help get you through that sense of chaos and discomfort. And so one of the things that Annalie shared with me more personally is when you are stressed and you tend to go to your husband or your significant other for support, a helpful thing to do is to help them help you, which is to put words in their mouth and let them know exactly what to say to you in your time of need. And so that to me was a great takeaway, because it just helps to clarify rather than expecting the other person to know how and what to say. A good way to just say, you know, I need X, Y, and Z at this time in order to get through this.
And I love that, because it truly is about being able to express to others what we need.
Mm-hmm.
In a way that isn't offensive to them, but helps them to understand. You know, and yeah, and as a lot of times nurturing and knowledge are drawn together, because nurturing is willing to listen to what knowledge has to say and honor the fact that they have the brilliance that they have. And knowledge will look at nurture and go, wow, you've got this community that I don't have because I've been so focused on what I'm working on that I didn't build community around me, and you're here and you're actually listening to me. This is powerful. So they'll come together and be attracted to each other for those differences. So that makes sense that from that nurturing standpoint, to be able to explain to somebody else what you need to feel comfortable is really important. The knowledge group.
I'll go ahead and share. So I was in the knowledge group, and it was really great seeing all the, different interpretations of this work, and how we really could all realize, yeah, when we're stressed, return to knowledge, right? And it brought up that question of like the feminine and the masculine, right? And we were all, many of us, I don't remember if everyone, but many of us were end first. So that nurture, and we're just talking about how in corporate that really hasn't been valued as much, and how empathy right now is hot in corporate as a topic. So it was really cool. We also brought up, I brought up how I've studied with the DISC analysis and seen some of the similarities. And one of the things that I really like about this is how easily digestible this was, that we could self-identify that like this, like, a snap, we could identify and be able to communicate and have a very thoughtful conversation without reading a book on it. So I just really appreciated how easily digestible this was, and how it really cultivated a beautiful conversation with the people in the room. So.
And Dr. Kelly, I'll add, Joan had a spiritual moment too. I don't want her to steal her thunder.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Joan, you got to share what that
You're-
was.
Joan, you're
Unmute.
muted.
I said my concept of God is that God is a soap opera addict, and we all do such a great job of creating them for God.
Oh, that is so fun and beautiful, Joan.
And I happened to pop into the group exactly at the moment that she was saying that. So it was really funny. I was like, what is going on here?
I love that. Yes, when knowledge is your stress code, you all of a sudden are so inquisitive about more information to help you make that decision. And when that's led by nurturing, you're wanting the information so that you can still serve your community. So that makes sense. Love that. Thank you, ladies.
I love that Joan talked about how because of her knowledge, she doesn't get stressed. And I think that was a wonderful insight, that her knowledge and her wisdom and her experience. I mean, I thought that was wonderful.
Thank you for sharing that, Deb. That's a great bit to be able to say.
But I had to work on it really hard for a long time. I had to teach my brain to have new responses to familiar stimuli.
And isn't that what we all need in life? New responses to the stimuli around us. That's part of why we were talking about stress and disruption today. How do we take those things that disrupt our lives and not let them turn us on our heads and leave us unable to move forward? But how do we look at those things and choose to work with them in ways that allow us to move forward? And I think that's why all of us are so excited about being part of C-Suite, because C-Suite through this entire year did everything they could to make this a better place to be, a better place for us to be involved with people who are like-minded and looking for the positive ways to be disruptive and take things to a new level of engagement with others in a positive way, not negative. As Tricia said, we're not looking at anyone as, oh, you're that, I can't possibly deal with you. It's, oh, you're that, wow, you bring that different perspective that allows me to do things in a different way. And I loved in our group that was made up of people, Tricia, you weren't the only one who was going, I know I've cracked my code, but I can't remember what it was. Carol joined our group because she couldn't remember hers. And David, I love David's comment because he's like, I'm all four of these, but I'm none of these all the time. I have to be able to look at all four of these together, and based on the situation I'm in, pull that piece forward. He says, so for me to identify myself as some order of these four makes no sense at all to me. And I'm like, perfect. You're disruptive in your own way. You are someone who is what we would call as, laterally all the same, able to very much dance around all four codes and make that happen. And Mark brought up the beauty of he's cracked his code on LinkedIn and found it to be one thing, and cracked his code personally and found it to be something else. And so we were able to talk about the fact that sometimes how we present ourselves in LinkedIn is more about who we're trying to engage with than who we are ourselves. And when we start to understand those things, we start to see that in any conversation, we might show up differently. And we might be surprised because somebody didn't see us in the light we thought we were being heard. So we need to start to hear ourselves through the lens of what others might see, not just what we see in ourselves.
And
Lisa?
I think that's a great transition, Christina. Let me bring back up and for you to help us take a moment.
So I'd love to offer some closing thoughts, but not the end. So I invite you to just sit and relax. And if you want to close your eyes, I have a poem for you, or you can read along. It is said that before entering the sea, a river trembles with fear. She looks back at the path she has traveled, from the peaks of the mountains, the long winding road crossing forests and villages, and in front of her, she sees an ocean so vast that to enter there seems nothing more than to disappear forever. But there is no other way. The river cannot go back. Nobody can go back. To go back is impossible in existence. The river needs to take the risk of entering the ocean, because only then will fear disappear, because that's where the river will know it's not about disappearing into the ocean, but of becoming the ocean. And I offer this to you because our path to thinking about the things that disrupt our lives or how we can create change is very similar to this journey of this river into this ocean. So whether it's inside or externally, here are some thoughts and principles around becoming disruptive, either disrupting your thinking and the ideas that you have about yourself, or in your life or in your world to get to where you want to be. Now, yes, Dr. Kelly, we're going to have a handout and the poem will be shared with you, but it's by Khalil Gibran. So I encourage you, just like the river, when you begin this process, to question everything. Question what you see. Question the thoughts that you have. Allow yourself to take a moment and think about, are you set in something that maybe requires a different way of thinking? Second, what do you want? When was the last time you asked yourself, what do I want? Think for yourself. Allow yourself to influence yourself. Activate on something that is inspiring to you. If you have a moment where you're like, I feel like I want to take a walk right now, do it. Because it's not just about activating on an inspired idea just about your business. It's always activating on an inspired idea, period. Because that is where you begin to change. And then when the waters get rough, as you go through, you enter into a place of maybe taking a little step out, taking a little leap, taking a bit of a risk, however small, does not matter. And no matter what happens, if it fails, it's just setting you back on the course towards that expansive place of the ocean and where you're supposed to be. So welcome failure. And then finally, love the before. So there may be a lot of things that you regret or that you thought about yourself before you began to think about how can I be disruptive or how can I make change. Don't throw that out. Love who you were before, because it's still a part of you no matter where you go. And it will allow you to accept whatever comes next. Now, these principles we will discuss, and Lisa's going to talk a little bit about how we can actually make these principles real in our lives. But I wanted to close on this poem. I wanted to close on this journey of being the river, going into the ocean, and maybe feeling a few bumps along the way, but knowing that you become part of the world as you go through that. So thank you, Lisa.
All right, so today was an overview and an introduction and a high-level flyover of a lot of different ideas. Kathleen is building a cadence and is so generous that we have these first sessions and then we have the opportunity for a master class. So we have saved the date for June 24th, 1 p.m. Eastern. And we will, oh, look, Susan's going to put the link in the chat for us. We will be digging into, and they will really be a round robin of 3 breakout sessions. Christina, Susan, and I will each be facilitating one. Participants will go through all 3 so that we can look at responding to disruption, being disruptive, and how we put all of these ideas together and activate them for ourselves and in our businesses and our personal lives. The Women's Leadership Council is about being the most strategic person in the room. Join this council. We are here to be confident, to add value. We expect success and we're demanding it. Everybody is better as a pack. We she-wolves and he-wolves who have joined us today, thank you very much for your presence, but we rise up together as we build these ideas. We're building on the community. And Kathleen Caldwell is a huge Wonder Woman fan and wants us all to remember that even Wonder Woman needed that sisterhood and needed that counsel. And the time that we spend together is important and impactful. If you are new today, the C-Suite Women's Leadership Council, that is a really big mouthful to get out. Oh my gosh, is an upgrade to the C-Suite Network membership. The upgrade, there's the URL. We've got Susan's putting that in the chat. If you are interested and want to learn more about the Women's Leadership Council, Kathleen Caldwell is the person to connect with, and we'll get her contact information in the chat as well. We are building and we are looking forward to our future, our first in-person Women's Leadership Council event in October in Virginia Beach. This is in partnership with another member of the C-Suite Network, Bob Pizzini. He is hosting part of our event at the iFly property so that we can have some fun as a group. And we are coming together. We've had a lot that we talked about today. I want to open it back up to the group so that we have a couple of minutes in our closing. What was your one word takeaway for the day? And while we're having that conversation, I'll put our contact information up, and Susan is going to put that in the chat for us. But any closing thoughts? I want to get rid of the screen so that we can see each other more clearly.
Anna Lee wrote courage. That's nice. Trisha
I
wrote
love
courage.
that. I love that
Nice.
that's coming up. And I put my phone number in as well as my email. If anybody's got questions about their report and needs a little deeper dive on it, I'll be happy to schedule one-on-one time with any of you. So you can text me at that number or email me.
Thank you, Carol. Ownership. And Andrea, courage and lead. Lovely.
All right. Any last thoughts that anybody would like to share?
Clarity. I'm getting openness and clarity. Sorry, I'm just loving everyone's words.
They
Love
are
you
beautiful.
all in your wonderful words.
I can
And that's-
definitely say thank you. This has been incredible, and how we all take a moment out of the standard of every day, the norm of every day, and think to how we can disrupt, how we can make a difference, I think is just incredible. So thank you so much, Lisa, Christina, Susan. We not only got the thinking, we got tools, and we got connectivity around this opportunity to be courageous and to do all the things that everybody's written in their words. So thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Tricia, for
you.
being here with
Thank
us.
you.
Everybody, send you off to the rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining us. And
Save
Gail,
the
good
chat if you
trouble.
want it.
Save the chat. Remember to save the chat. Link will go out to members, and there will be a handout and some follow-up communication coming from Kathleen with the information for the masterclass, some supporting content that we have. There's always more information coming your way. Have a great rest of your day.
Love you all. Bye.
Great job.